Nice choice.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
And some of the new ones, they look totally real.
I'm
Don't ask questions. Just consume product and then get excited for next products.
Ghosted is Apple TV's new high-profile action comedy where Chris Evans has a one-night stand with Ana de Armas and then gets ghosted by her as she doesn't answer his text the next day. And once he realizes that she's traveled to London, he decides to go after her because that's real human character behavior. But then it turns out that Ana de Armas is actually a badass CIA hitman once again.
They stole it from me! They took it!
And now Chris Evans gets mixed up in a WMD investigation and great comedy and action ensue, right? Not to beat around the bush, this may already be the worst movie of the year. We have other big contenders for the title, sure, but Ghosted didn't come to mess around. It's so terrible all around that there were these conspiracy theories starting to surround it. The lead actors have so little chemistry that in reality they were never on set together and were instead spliced in. The scenes and the plot are so cringy that in reality it was all written by ChatGPT. The whole thing is so devoid of any emotion that in reality it's a money laundering scheme. And although all those conspiracies may be true, I would also propose another issue at the heart of this movie that led to all those negative qualities. The issue that Ghosted is a consumable movie made for the consumer. You know, the movie consumer. Don't have standards for what you watch, just consume the movie. Don't actively watch the movie, just leave it on in the background to be consumed. Don't ever talk or think about what you watch, just forget it once it's over and find the next movie for consumption. That's essentially the mantra Ghosted was built on. Just cast the popular actors no matter how wrong for the roles they are, take them around the world to see popular landmarks, play popular music in the background, feature cameos from other popular things, and have the actors say the names of popular products and trends.
Your inhaler?
Forgot it in her purse. And it has one of those, tiles on it, those tracking things.
Wait, why does this guy have a tracker in his inhaler? And how did he forget it in her purse but not his other stuff? And did he not use the inhaler for a full day?
Don't ask questions, just consume product.
The woman of my dreams is in London.
The result of which is that you don't care about what happens, you don't care about who it happens to. The whole time you feel nothing. It's basically like Netflix's Red Notice, with the only difference being that the individual parts here are worth a bit less. And so today, let's do two things. Let's expand on this consumer topic from the Red Notice video and find more crucial pitfalls to avoid to not become a cringy consumable movie in terms of the scenes and characters and the experience.
Second best.
And then at the end, I also wanna go off script and rant a bit about how movies like Ghosted aren't only bad movies, but will also end up destroying the industry if left unchecked, now with the writer strike happening because of it and all. So, yeah. Firstly, the reason the plot and many scenes here feel like cringy, zero chemistry fanfiction written by an AI is because they lack a central point of contention through which they would naturally unfold. In the beginning, Ana de Armas wants to buy a plant at a marketplace and Chris Evans steps in from another stand to help her, which leads to this basic meet-cute moment where he doesn't want to sell her this plant because she won't take care of it, with the subtext being that he was apparently dumped by his girlfriend for being too needy and thus identifies as the plant.
Maybe try being a little less needy. You know, girls don't really like that.
Why do you want a plant if you're never home?
What if you find me something a little less needy?
It's pretty shallow at best because none of that stuff has been properly established, but fair enough. Then he goes after her to ask her out and...
Get in.
Mission accomplished, good work.
And then comes the date, which is the main source of the allegations of this being written by an AI and the actors not being on set together. They walk around town drinking coffee, they talk about the movie The Exorcist and race up the staircase from that movie. They go to a bar where Chris Evans chickens out from going on stage, and then they smooch and do the deed.
Please, this hurts! Nothing to see here!
And yeah, this 10-minute sequence is some of the cringiest film footage you can find, in big part because it comes out of nowhere. There's no prompt to make it happen organically. It's really weird to see this guy who has never mentioned a movie before start talking about a movie to another non-movie person and then raise her up a staircase. It's really weird to see this guy who has no clear reason to be nervous around people be nervous around people.
Cole Turner.
I have to put your name down.
And the way all this could be not weird is with something at the center to prompt it. Like maybe Chris Evans has been established to be a movie buff, so he uses his knowledge to try to impress Ana de Armas because that's his passion. Or maybe he's a bit heavy and insecure about his weight, so he uses the stairs to inconspicuously show her that he's actually pretty fit.
I run up these stairs every day, by the way. No big deal.
Okay, let's do it.
Or maybe he's been established to have anxiety in crowds, so he doesn't want to go in front of a crowd. There'd be something within the scene to prompt the characters to act as they do. Whereas if there isn't, then there's no natural scene. If Chris Evans doesn't have to impress Ana de Armas, and if he's a very social person who follows girls to their cars to ask them out, then what's the point of any of this? It's as if he's being like this for no reason. That's why Ana de Armas has real consistent trouble delivering her lines, as if she can't actually
It's
act.
very cute that you're scared of this movie with the little girl.
My
What's
own
the
fault.
name again?
It's The
I mean, I have to
Exorcist.
watch
It's one
it
of these.
now.
And the thing is, she can act. We've seen her act. The issue is that here she has nothing to act with. She's forced to emote random behavior and say random things that lack proper meaning to her character within the context of the moment. That's why it's so cringy and stiff. And it's the same with the launch into the plot. After Chris Evans has touched bodies with Ana de Armas, he goes home and doesn't get texted back by her the next day, so he tracks her phone to London and travels to surprise meet her. And again, it's like, why? His date with her went really well. It was perfect. She was practically eating from his hand. So why is it so urgent for him to follow her to London in this moment? I don't know. He just does it. There's no unresolved point of contention making it happen, which is why it feels dumb. And again, if that point was there, it could work. Maybe Chris Evans isn't Chris Evans. Maybe he's a less perfect guy who somehow scored a date with that type of girl he thinks he'll never score a date with again. And so now he's scared to lose the opportunity of a lifetime.
I wanted it so bad. I can't take this no more, man.
Maybe the date didn't go perfectly. Maybe he feels like he messed something up or accidentally hurt her feelings.
Oh my God.
And so now he wants to try to make it up to her before it's too late. Something that causes what happens to happen. To be fair, this issue does get better later on when the CIA assassin stuff comes in to start prompting things. Although even then, not fully, as there still is some pretty forced fake argument chemistry moments where the acting again becomes wooden because the prompt generator isn't real enough.
Oh my god, she killed innocent people, Cole!
But that aside, the point is that in order for your plot and scenes to not feel like basic dumb movie scenes to leave on in the background for consumption, they need a central conflictual point to cause their existence. Without that, all you have is random stuff happening and nobody cares. Secondly, the reason the characters here are empty stock footage shells that nobody can invest in is because they lack all the necessary qualities that would make them human. The obvious criticism of these characters you'll hear from your nearest producer is that they're not likable. Chris Evans is a good-looking guy from a rich family who flows through life without struggles and who also takes photos of sleeping women in their home and creeps on them with trackers.
You're a f***ing ugly bitch. I want to stab you to death and then play around with your blood.
Ana de Armas is a CIA hitman who kills with zero issues mentally or physically and who also whines and complains without end.
They caught the taxman, and it's you? You know what? I am done with you. Head down, shut your mother looking for you. Taxman! Jesus! And you're telling me this now?
Both of these characters are really unlikable, which doesn't exactly help their case. The thing is though, likable is not a necessary quality of a strong character. It can be useful, but not a must. Often the strongest and most compelling characters are the ones with the strongest unlikable flaws. Just recently, I came across one of the most hideous yet absorbing characters ever who I now cannot get out of my head, to a point where I really wanna make a full video about her. But that said, there are some mandatory human qualities no character seeking to make an impression can lack. One such quality is the reasonability of perspective, which Chris Evans doesn't have. Not only does he follow Ana de Armas to London without real crucial urgency, she also doesn't even seem that important to him. He got invited to her house and took photos of her while she was asleep, which shows that he has no real respect for her.
You took a selfie in bed while she was asleep. Dude, that's weird.
And if he has no real respect for her, and if he's Chris Evans who gets women left and right, even in the context of the movie,
6-foot honeypot, sent a kiss and nibbled the secrets right out of you,
then why is he going after her specifically? He's not proposed to be a real psychopath or anything. He's not Lou Bloom. Even the neediness thing is treated more as a casual joke. Not to mention that he's then willing to let go of her at the first sign of trouble.
I just want to get away from you and out of here as fast as possible.
So why in his mind and perspective does he need her and not the next similar hot woman he stumbles into? I don't know or care. Another necessary quality is a realistic existence beyond the confines of the plot, which Ana de Armas doesn't have. She's a badass CIA hitman with superhuman combat abilities who interacts alone with a total of like 4 people in the whole movie. One of those people is her CIA boss, and the other 3 are men she slept with. That's it. Wow, what a great female character. That's definitely a real human woman. Real female existence comes down to being told what to do and being taken to bed, while everything else is fairy dust, definitely.
What I did there is called sarcasm.
You know, she's said to have a civilian life, yet her life is faker than Jason Bourne's, who doesn't even have a life. She's not a real person outside this movie, and we don't care. Another necessary quality is not being one note, which destroys the villain. Basically, there's this ex-agent who has gone rogue and is now selling some kind of WMD to someone for some money-related reason. Really, all we get to know is that he's evil, which we know because he kills his own men. Basically, he's just a purely bad guy doing purely bad things as they in these movies do. That's it. The consumer will be content. Another must-have quality is the believability and faithfulness of actions, which here is not present. Not only is there the physical side of Ana de Armas being this inexplicably overpowered fighter untouchable by bullets, there's also the fact that for a super professional CIA hitman,
oh my god,
she's pretty unprofessional. In the middle of an active mission, she constantly lets her emotions run wild and bickers about relationship matters with someone she just met.
unbelievable. What? You stalkered your way across the ocean to find me. That is not cactus behavior.
sweet punt, low maintenance. I can't believe I was gonna call you when I got back.
Which is pretty tough to believe. Like, it's just tough to buy into the idea that someone would travel to another country after a successful date just because he doesn't get a text the next day. Even a purple alien collecting galactic stones to snap away half of life seems more likely. Unless, of course, you don't think about it. But all that said, the biggest lacking human quality here is specificity. Ana de Armas is just a blank government gun girl to the point where you can't even distinguish her from her previous role.
They're the same picture.
While Chris Evans is basically playing a parody version of himself. There's nothing unique about these characters to remember them for, which is why you don't remember them. You know, you can remember Ana de Armas from Bond because at least there she has this bubbly local personality that catches even Bond off guard. And you do remember Lou Bloom because he's very specific.
Who am I? I'm a hard worker. I set high goals, and I've been told that I'm persistent. What I believe, sir, is that good things come to those who work their asses off. My motto is, if you want to win the lottery, you have to make the money to buy a ticket. So what do you say? I could start tomorrow, or even why not tonight?
No.
Whereas without that, it's just noise. It's just another movie with a tough gun girl, just another movie with this popular actor / personality. The characters are there just to be consumed and forgotten until the next version of them comes along. Thirdly, the reason this movie as a whole makes you feel nothing is because, much like in Red Notice, everything in it is light-hearted fun designed to numb the audience, both physically and emotionally. The physical side of this means that stakes and obstacles aren't a real thing. Like I mentioned, the combat is super easy for the heroes. Ana de Armas can take on a squad of armed soldiers without getting hit by a single fist or bullet, to a point where even a 50 cal leaves nothing more than dents in her car. Even though Chris Evans has never been in a gunfight before, he's pretty loose and goose about it, and he can even take down pro operatives simply on the basis that the movie once said he was a wrestler.
Tell her you wrestled in high school.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, okay.
As a whole, the physical side isn't taken seriously, it's mostly just fun. And although fun itself isn't a problem, it becomes a problem when it's only that. There's this sequence where the heroes get ambushed by all these top assassins, and it's just a joke directed at the consumer. Oh, this guy from that popular thing shows up. And oh, then this another guy from that popular thing shows up. And oh, look at that, now the assassins have taken each other out without the heroes having to do anything.
That was easy.
With each event like this, the audience is conditioned to not take threats and ramifications as reality. They don't need to lean in and worry about the hero's safety. They can look away and let it play in the background because they know the heroes will be just fine. Why care about the heroes escaping bullets when you know they won't get hit anyway? Why care about the hero being stabbed when injuries aren't real and they're gonna be healed in the next scene anyway? Why care about a torture scene when no real torture or consequences of it exist and it's all gonna be irrelevant within minutes anyway? You don't care and you're not compelled to actively watch. Whereas on the emotional side, this means that negative emotion isn't tangible. Chris Evans apparently lost his girlfriend because he's too needy, but it's just something mentioned a couple times.
Heard you got dumped. It's a break, man.
Ana de Armas apparently lost her mother, but it's just something mentioned a couple times.
You know, and then after she died, I found the army. You know.
There is emotion involved, but it's always treated in this lax manner, which makes it seem unimportant. The reason you care about the bond between Cobb and Mal in Inception is because they've done some really bad things to each other. He stole her sanity and she stole his life. When they meet, you don't watch anything else. Your eyes are solely on them. You have to find out how or if they're gonna figure this out. Whereas here, none of those negative emotional seeds are grown. Yes, Ana de Armas lied to Chris Evans about who she is, but so what? He barely knows her. It doesn't have any effect on him outside of him getting in trouble because he was being a creep. It's not like her lies somehow brought the war into his home and to his family or something. There are no real consequences like that. And yes, Chris Evans was being a creep when he followed Ana de Armas to London, but so what? She can take care of him on the side just fine. It doesn't change anything. There's no real emotional conflict between them, and thus we're not invested in the bond between them. And when these sides combine, what you get is a 2-hour tonal flatline of fun that makes you feel nothing. You don't fear or cry or think or express joy or relief or any kind of emotion. You just sort of watch stuff happen. Without tangible negativity, there can be no tangible positivity. And without those two, all you have is a movie meant to be consumed and forgotten until the next one. And if I sound harsh here, it's because I have to, because if the ghosted cycle is allowed to continue, we're gonna be in big trouble. See, apparently Ghosted is Apple TV's biggest success so far because it's super easy to click on and leave on in the background for consumption without further thinking. And to be clear, people are allowed to do that. Back in the day, I used to take my mom to the theater like once a year, and every time, no matter the movie, be it Skyfall or Quantum of Solace, she'd be like, wow, what a great movie, and then never mention it again. And so if you think I'm gonna imply that somehow made her a less of a viewer, that's not gonna happen. Everyone's a consumer of some kind. I'm a consumer. Every day when I eat, I watch the new NHL highlights. All I'm trying to get across is that, at least with streaming movies, what you consume matters. When you click on something like Ghosted and just leave it on, it's like ordering another. Apple only sees the numbers, and when they're big, they're not going to think about how many people actually actively watched. They're just going to think,
damn, this did numbers. I guess we don't need writers or quality. We can just use AI and cast the popular people.
title doesn't matter.
And then there's another mind-numbing movie nobody wants to watch that gets left in the background, and it's just gonna keep repeating until that's all there is. So please don't just half-heartedly click on Ghosted 2 and Red Notice 2. First think if it's something you wanna watch, if those are the kind of big movies you want studios to spend their money on. And in case you still absolutely wanna be a ghosted type of carefree consumer just looking to get your mind off other things, then here's a non-harmful alternative way for you to do it. You download this free game that is made for the masses just like Ghosted, but is a much better product for top 3 reasons. Number 3, you can enter this amazing fantasy world with incredible graphics instead of having to be in this nonsensical reality. Number 2, you can choose from hundreds of specific champions and use them to fight against all kinds of evil beings and bosses with or against your friends, instead of having to be with these two quote-unquote characters. Number 3, you can even get a bunch of bonuses for signing up, like this epic champion Talia, as well as other great stuff, which is far more value than what you'll get by watching Ghosted.
And right now there's even a dragon egg hunt where you can win awesome in-game items and real-life prizes, ranging from a legendary champion to Amazon gift cards with a total value of $20,000, which is $20,000 more than in Ghosted.
So there you go, there's the consumer solution. From this point on, I don't want to see any more articles announcing the success of these movies. All I want to see articles about is people clicking the link below or scanning the QR code on screen to get this game for mobile or desktop for free with the bonuses. Talia is great because she can use her long Braveheart sword to hack and slash multiple enemies, which I can imagine to be Ghosted. This game, Raid Shadow Legends, is great because it gets my mind off other things in life like Ghosted without actually being ghosted.